Hi guys, and welcome to the second Three Man Meta podcast. Big thanks to everyone that listened to the first episode, and hello to any new listeners that we have today. For you new guys, we're three guys living in Norwich, and we're trying to create a meta that's more than just us three. So I'm Leighton, and with me I have Danny.
Hello.
And James.
Hi.
Today we've got a fair bit to discuss. We're going to go through a tournament as the meta travel to Cambridge for an official prize tournament. We've got some great spoilers to discuss, my TTS League experience. Also, the top 8 decks from the League 1 TTS have been released, so we're going to give our thoughts on those bad boys as well. We went to Cambridge, didn't we, boys?
Yes, we did.
You guys want to talk a bit about where we were playing and what conditions we had?
Where were we playing? It was hard to find, wasn't it?
It was a bit of a long walk. We played in Heifer's Bookshop. We had fold-out tables, which were good.
Are they child size? Because those chairs were quite low, and I'm very tall, so I had difficulty getting my legs underneath those.
Same. It was a bit of a balancing act at times, I think.
Well, I did fall over, didn't I? I did fall off my chair.
Yes.
That was one of the highlights of the evening.
I thought you were trying to flip the table, to be honest.
No, that was before the game even started. And my deck flew everywhere, didn't it? I dropped my deck and it exploded everywhere. So I was definitely giving a lot of comedic entertainment for the other people.
You're on top form, absolute top form. Kind of leads into how your tournament went as well, doesn't it?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Last time we went round for round, pound for pound, what we did. But this time, I think what we'll do is we'll just have each of us talk about our tournament experience in one spell sweep. So I've already talked enough. So, James, do you want to go through your tournament experience and what you played?
Yeah. Sure.
Missing out a specific game at the end, but you can talk about the other games. And then
I'll let you know my notes on that game at the end. So my first game was against the younglings, sort of Padawans with a E-Ray. And I won that one with, Django kept rolling a resource and a +1 resource. And I think that happened 3 or 4 times, in a row.
So yeah, you mentioned Django, but do you want to tell us your deck that you're actually playing?
Sorry, yeah, of course. I was playing Django, Kylo with my lovely old art that I got from Wayland Games. So yeah, I was shaking it up and going for a bit of mixed damage aggro. And it seems to be working all right. And yeah, so I got my first win against the younglings deck. I basically had to re-roll everything, though, each time, because I was just rolling jank.
So that's Django for you, He may allow you to cheat and activate when they activate, but sometimes he just doesn't want to shoot with guns.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes he just likes bringing home the money. So, I mean, sometimes I'm happy to take the money, but other times it's not so good. But yeah, I mean, Django died, I think, the same turn that I got the win. Like I say, just discarding, constantly re-rolling. I think I may have claimed the battlefield once, just because I kept re-rolling that much. But yeah, so that put me on to my second game, which is against Poe, Efin, Brodek. Here it was fairly straightforward again, but I mean, Django got squashed by an ATST, which just dropped out of nowhere on his head. I think that was in the second to last turn. And then the final round, my opponent went first with 5 health Poe with 2. He had 2 data pads on him. So it's basically just trying to claim that special and banging an ATST, I presume, or a Millennium Falcon or whatever. So she rolls out and both the pads get blanked. And I think Poe gets a disrupt or a resource or whatever he's got. So I got Feel Uranga and I play that and I remove the Poe die on the data pad, which is pretty much her game plan gone. So she passes and I roll out Kylo and get exactly the 5 damage that I needed for the win. So that was a lovely last round for me, feeling all the anger. So then I go into my third game, 2-0, and it was Padme, E-Ray, Padawan.
All right, interesting.
I think the guy, he said, is sort of a sufferer of the lack of, the product shortage, really. But it was a really interesting deck, and I think he'd obviously gone 2-0 with it as well, so, it was working for him. So Django in this game actually decides to start being useful and starts rolling damage, and pretty big damage as well. So I think it's 4 and 3s each time.
It's always helpful, even if he isn't rolling well, you're still winning games. So if he decides, I'm going to join the party now. That's still good.
It was like, you know what, I've seen Kylo, carry me through 2 games. I'm going to start doing something, which was nice. So yeah, I get the Kylo Saber out turn 2, which is lovely. Django I then put a Saber on Django, and then before the end, Kylo had a Saber on it. So I had them all alive because I was obviously trying to get the mill. And I had all 3 of my Sabers out, which is always nice. And I just proceed to smash him in the face with lightsabers until he could get anywhere close to milling me. So that was nice. So that was my 3-0, and I'll leave it there because I've been warned.
It's been warned. Okay, so all right, and Danny, so tell us what you were playing and tell us how your games fared.
So I was playing the classic Ephasma Balatic Trooper deck.
One trick pony! One trick pony!
Wow. Which I've taken to a few tournaments in the past and had very good success with. But kind of just to kind of step back before the tournament, we were doing a lot of practice games during the week. And both James and Leighton were smashing me completely to bits.
It was lovely.
It wasn't enjoyable. It kind of shook my faith in the deck a little bit, but I kind of decided to take it anyway because it's already won me 2 tournaments. Like, it's a good deck. I know it's a good deck, so I took it. So in my first game, I played against single Padme, single Rey, Pad 1 late Hero Mill deck, which the stars didn't really align for him. It's probably the way to put it. He didn't manage to get like his cunning out on Padme. He didn't get any second chances out on Padme, and I just kind of just kept rolling consistent damage and kind of ended the game at around round 4. My second game, I went in, 0-1 feeling good, and I get paired against Leighton.
Which is obviously, it's a tournament we will pair each other at one point, because so far in the 3 official tournaments we've done, we've always faced each other.
Yeah, and I think we'll leave a run through on how that game went. But needless to say, I didn't win. It was very close. Closer than any of the test matches had gone previous to that, really. So I'm now 1-1, and I am facing Qui-Gon Rey Pad 1, where my game plan was just simple. I was going to load up Balatic with as many upgrades as possible. I focused Qui-Gon first because he has a potential just to keep pinging off all those 1 shields, which is just annoying. It's not like you never know when that damage is going to come out. And then I focused on killing Pad 1 and then finished killing Rey. But I managed to get 3 upgrades on Balatic probably by the end of round 2, start of round 3. So by the time I killed Qui-Gon and he stood back up, and then half killed the Pad 1, and then next round killed the Pad 1, stood back up, almost killed Rey. Bala won me that game basically. He's really
just
good.
proving how disgusting Balatic can actually be.
Yeah,
if he can get off.
Yeah, against the 3 character lineups, Balatic just gets a lot of work done if you don't focus him down quickly. And that kind of takes me into my last game. So I'm 2-1. I need to win this to get a top 4 finish. So I'm playing against Rey, Pad 1, and I'm going to load up Balatic and do some damage. And I'm killing Rey first because she had like a force throw on a lightsaber. He had about 2 health left, and he went, I'll override force throw with a 1 with the force, and then I'll override lightsaber with a 1 with the force. And my heart kind of sank at that point. I was like, oh no. So I've got to kill 2 Pad 1s. And with 2-1 with the forces as supports, and I was worried that by this point my Stormtrooper had died, and Bala he'd been probably on about half health. So we continue kind of going backwards and forth, and he manages to kill my Bala, and then the next turn, after I've already killed his other Pad 1, he's got a Pad 1 left on 1 health, so I tap the backup muscle for 1 damage to win the game.
Classic
Dirty backup muscle. BM. That card really is BM.
BM. So that
all they've got to do is get a black marker, and where it says this ignores shield, just put a black line through that. This ignores shields, and that card is nice and balanced.
I totally agree. So I finished up 3-1, which left me in 4th place after all ties were done. So walked away with another Kylo. They were also really generous as well. They had a lot of their launch kit stuff from like the original launch, so they had a lot of Rey promos, and they gave the top 8 players Rey promos, which was very generous of them.
Yeah, we got ourselves another Rey each, which was quite nice, which we're going to be donating to our local. So it's handing it on even further. So I guess now it's time to talk about me, what I did.
How was your tournament, Leighton?
So first of all, we're going to go down a little walk through history before this goes on. So first tournament, obviously I played Django Trooper, lost to Danny round 3, but finished 3-1. Second tournament, I played Qui-Gon and Rey, and lost to Danny and lost to James to go 2-2. And this time I went back to an old favourite, the Vader Raider, which I've made lots and lots of changes to. And I made a change on the day to it by... I watched Tiny Grimes' video about Boundless Ambition, and I love Boundless Ambition. There's been games before when we guys have played, and I've been playing Dooku with E. Grievous. Boundless Ambition is my last card in my hand, and my opponent, against you, Danny, he's only got 1 card in hand. He hasn't got good dice there. I'm safe. I'm going to claim the battlefield. And then you just drop the boundless and get 5 new cards, and you're free to re-roll as much as you need to get big damage. So I thought it was a good card. So I listened to that, and I thought, you know what? I like the idea of trying to get out those holocrons nice and early. Can confirm, played the card once in 4 games. so we'll be taking that card. We'll be taking the card out of the deck again. I don't know what I'll replace. I take I'll replace it with, but I'm sure I'll find something. In fact, I know 100% what one of the cards is going to be. It's going to be Intimidate, because I think there's at least 2, maybe 3 occasions where I had an opponent with 3 shields, and I was looking at Balance Ambition. I was like, why are you not Intimidate right now? It was quite frustrating in that regard. We'll go for the spoiler. I won the tournament, and it feels really good to get my first Destiny tournament victory. Yeah.
Good job, mate. Good job.
Yeah. No, it felt good, especially in light of other things which we'll talk about later on in the podcast. But it was good. So round 1, I faced against Barry, who the guy who's played as well, who was playing Qui-Gon Padawan Rey, and that was just a pretty straightforward game. Really, I just focused on the Qui-Gon first because I didn't want to have any shields. If Qui-Gon's not got shields, the deck finds it very difficult for them to get damage out of nowhere. I don't know if he was running the riposts. I never saw one. He may have discarded one. We had 0 shields. I was paying that much attention round 1. He was such a nice guy. We were just chatting quite a lot of the time. So I think that game was pretty straightforward. Vader doing Vader things. So the round 2 was against Danny, and as Danny mentioned, we've been playing a lot recently, and I had been spanking him with Vader Raider.
Yeah,
really had been doing big damage. It's one of those decks that necessarily doesn't need the upgrades just because Vader can do big damage. But in this game, I think for the first 4 rounds at least, or until Vader died, Danny successfully removed one of Vader's dice every round. So I was only having 1 Vader dice, and I didn't get any upgrades out.
Yeah, I was living the removal dream, basically.
Really, really was. So this isn't like soaking up. Well, actually, the first damage he soaked up into his Stormtrooper to take the 2 shields, but then every other round, it was either he doesn't like you, or it was flanked, or it was electroshock. Yeah, it was just so. With me not getting my upgrades, that's a massive proportion of my damage, and I was really starting to sweat. I got the kill on the Stormtrooper, and I think that's the turn also that you killed my Vader, and it was just down to the Raider. But Raider doing Raider things, I think I rolled the 3 a couple of times and spending the resource, and I can't even remember what upgrade. I think I had a force throw on him, I think, rightly.
Yeah,
so I think I definitely forced through some 2s at you. Yeah. And then what it came down to was this round. So Danny had claimed the round before. He had Phasma left. Lots of upgrades on Phasma. My Tusken Red had 2 health left. I think I had lightsaber and a force throw on him. And all Danny needed to do was do 2 damage. Yeah. And it was a fully upgraded Phasma.
It was Phasma, double jetpack, holdout blaster.
So the chances of getting 2 damage there are pretty high. There's 2 sides on Phasma that don't require any resources. There's obviously 2 modified sides on the jetpack. There's even on the hold-up blaster has a side that doesn't require a resource. There is a side that does have a resource. But at that point in the game, he's not really playing many cards, so he's got a lot of resources. I think he must have like 4 resources or something at the time.
Like 4 or 5 at that point.
Tactical Mastery for the reroll and the resolution finish. Doesn't get it, does he? Doesn't get it. No. What do I roll? 3 for $1 on the lightsaber, 3 for $1 on the Tusken Raider. No, I think I rolled first. I didn't roll it, did I? I think I rolled out crap as well. I thought, here we go. Then you re-rolled.
Yeah.
Didn't get any damage. Yeah. I then re-rolled, got the 3 for 1, 3 for 1. Then obviously you were like, I'm dead. And I was looking at it, and for some reason, because I was so convinced I was lost, I just looked over at his Phasma with like a shield and how much health I had. And for some reason, I thought, he's counted this wrong. He's not dead. He's not dead. He's going to kill me. He's definitely going to kill me. And then
you basically
the maths
did exact damage, didn't you? Like I was just staring at the IQA blaster rifle in my hand going, you're just not going to save me. So I discarded it for a reroll, rolled the damage I needed, and then died. Yeah.
So it felt good to get the win against Danny, as there's been 2 tournaments that Danny has beaten me, and boy, has he been going on about that. So it felt nice to knock him down a peg. I mean, these are well-deserved wins, but it just felt good to get that win.
That's all right. Once you won another tournament and you beat me again, we'd be even.
Okay, see, it's still coming. It's still coming.
Yeah,
it's all good.
still coming.
Right. So in my third round, I played against another local of Cambridge. Played Ben, I believe. Both of you played him as well, and he was the guy who was playing Elite Ray and then the Padawan, so the Younglings deck. That was a really good game for me because Vader was doing Vader things, naturally rolling out 5s. He got his one with a force out, and as soon as he rolled the 3 ranged, I think I had a force throw on my Tusken Raider, so I just rolled him out, got the special, threw the 3 straight in his face. He rolled there's 2 3 sides, isn't there? He rolled the 3 focus, I think, once. I force throwed that to his face. I'm fairly sure I force thrown 3 of his one with a force dive. And I took 3 damage on Darth Vader all game. So I finished with a fully healthy Tusken, a shield, and 3 damage on Darth Vader.
Painful.
He had the 1 damage. I had a shield from somewhere, which I can't remember. Maybe from his back, but I can't remember. No, probably not. Maybe from a resolution of a die. And he got the 2 unblockable from a lightsaber. So it was pretty brutal, really. But a great guy, really nice guy. Really enjoyed playing against him. And then the last round was against James. So obviously, I can't go to a tournament without playing someone from the meta. It's just the way it works.
The whole meta.
Well, exactly, the whole meta. The 3-man meta. We're talking the Norwich meta here. This is the meta. I had played against James. I think I played against you doing that deck on TTS, but I really had no idea what was in the deck. I mean, I built the deck myself, but after talking after the game, it's very different to how you've built it.
Yeah, you've run holocrons and force powers and stuff, haven't you? Whereas mine's all sort of melee grades.
The way I see the Elite Kylo, Elite Django deck is, because I've seen some lists online, they've still put guns in it. And I think, obviously, if you roll guns, the way you should treat Django is I'll roll him out when you roll. If I get guns, I resolve the guns.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what I did. It's just if I roll guns, it's 3 damage,
Yeah, but if not, you
just
focus on the melee. Yeah, focus on the melee. Those modified sides. He's got a melee side. You've got 2 melee sides on Kylo. So that's the way I kind of see it. So the force powers are so good. I just think that Mind Probe is still really good, and Force Throw is still incredible. So I just think it's just great. If you can get a Force Throw on Django, they roll out, you cheat out your roll, get a Force Throw. You can then hurt them and remove one of their dice. So that's why I've gone for Force Powers anyway. But that game, I remember we had to start early because James's dad was picking him up because he was going back to Northampton. And we were finished pretty quick.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. It's like, I'm really sorry, but I've got literally the tournament was meant to run till 10 or whatever. It was running a bit late. So my dad's outside. He's getting really he's going to be outside the next 5 minutes, man. Like, I really need to go. So yeah, the TO was really nice and set aside a table as we both finished our games. And then I think everyone else just about finished their first turn by the time I think we'd had our 3rd or 4th, and then
Well, we weren't rushing. It was just Vader doing Vader things, and I think I probably 3 for 1. I think I definitely rolled a 3 for 1 a couple of times on the Tusken.
Really it was horrible rolls from me and really good rolls from you. Is what I'm going to put it down to. To be fair, I hate Vader Raider. I mean, in my notes I just put I hate Vader Raider like Vader hates sand.
Yeah,
I thought it was very poetic.
It was.
Yeah. You'd almost turn it into a haiku.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to make business cards with that one. I don't know, I've never really been able to deal with Vader Raider very well. I know a few people online that seem to say the same thing. I don't know what it is. It just can, when it rolls well, it feels like there's nothing you can do really. And when you roll badly, it's just like, oh great. And I don't know. The
presence of Darth Vader in his artwork, he's just crushing your heart.
I think there was a mental thing. It's like, oh, it's Leighton. Oh, it's Vader Raider. I don't know. I sat down. It was like, I tilted. I think I was tilted as I sat down. To be fair, it's like, oh, this is for the tournament as well. It's like the biggest game. Yeah. So yeah, 3-1 is it's the same as I got at Wayland. I placed second again, so it's like, I've not gone down.
Yeah.
In fact, haven't we basically? I think you and Danny have swapped around Leighton.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've got 1st, 2nd, and 4th.
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely it was a good. We represented ourselves well. We have done all 3 tournaments. With apart from the first one, obviously you had a bit of a shocker, but the other ones, you definitely made up for it with 2 second places. Yeah, you made up for it with 2 second places.
At least I'm consistent. I'm consistently second best.
Yeah, and I was consistently the best, but now I'm almost the best.
So yeah, the guys there was definitely a mix of skill. So there was a few people that only had no stars and a couple of packs, and some people, there was one guy who said he hadn't watched any videos or anything, so didn't really know what was available. But I'd definitely say over half the players, other than us, were of a very capable and very good standard. And they kind of they said they all worked with each other and play against each other quite a lot.
Yeah.
So they obviously get a lot of practice in. They know each other's decks inside and out.
Yeah.
And we're probably a little bit annoyed that we just rock up to their shop and steal the tokens.
They are very nice tokens.
I did feel bad because obviously I have 2 sets, Danny has 2 sets, and James didn't have any. And we kind of had a gentleman's agreement at the start, depending on what happens. If we get the tokens, we'll give them to James.
Yeah.
And because we don't need them and don't really want to be that guy and sell them. There's nothing wrong about selling your wins, but we just thought we had that gentleman's agreement. But when it came to the prizes, I did see the sadness in the third place's face when they saw me grab what would be perceived to them as my 3rd set of tokens.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But it's all good.
It's gone to a good cause.
It didn't take long for us to get to them, so they're more than welcome to come to our local game store at Athena in Norwich, and because they've still got a couple of sets of Q1 packs, so there's definitely tokens up for grabs back here in Norwich. And if I would definitely say if we were probably in a tournament in Norwich, and if we were to get to 1 and 2, I don't think we'd go for the tokens. We would probably just go for the Kylos and just let other people have them.
Yeah, definitely.
Now that we've all got the tokens, you're just taking them for no reason now, aren't you? Might as well just
You're never going to have more. You're never going to have more than 10. I mean, even a player that's playing Crime Lord is only going to have 5 for 1 turn. Then they Crime Lord you. So, so definitely 10 is enough tokens.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to also just throw in there before we kind of moved off tournaments that this is another tournament where I've played 4 rounds and they've all been melee decks again.
Yeah.
So my hunker downs have been useless. The meta of, it's like that Wayland. What meta? There was no Django. There were a few
that was my Django
decks.
Yeah, there was definitely less. I mean, because I know there was a couple of Akbar layers at Wayland, but there was only there was someone playing Ray double hired guns, so that's kind of got some hired guns. So there was definitely a few guns, but there wasn't any Django. There was no Django.
And I was the only one running Ballatic.
Apart from James. There's quite a lot of hero, actually, wasn't there? Really think about it. Quite a lot of heroes. But that's cool. It's good to see different people's decks. But yes, it was a good tournament. The guys, I say, were very nice. I got myself a nice deck box as well. One of the Ultimate Guard deck boxes. So we're having fun on the train on the way home, working out how to best put 2 decks in this box.
Yeah. Shout out to Heifer's Games, really. They did really well considering, we were in a children's area of the library. I thought it was really well organised, and yeah, it's just a really great night out, wasn't it?
It was good. It was definitely good fun.
And super generous.
Cool.
So they gave additional prize support with the deck box as well.
Definitely, yep. Very, very much appreciated. I definitely am using it. I mean, we had a few games today, and I brought it down to the store, and I can fit 2 decks and dice in there, and all my tokens, and it takes up a lot less room in my bag. So, I think it's a good one. It's one of the ones that's magnetized, and it's got little flaps that open up. Yeah. So it's obviously designed for 2 60-card decks, and then it's got a section for tokens. But you can definitely fit your deck and all your dice in one of the sections. So I've got 2 decks with all the dice in one box, which is very nice. Cool. So that's with that tournament out of the way. So on to the next thing we're going to be talking about: spoilers. So Fantasy Flight had an article called Unlikely Heroes, and a lot of new cards came down. So we are going to run through those cards, talk a bit about them. I think for the YouTube video, for you guys watching on YouTube, I'm going to put the card up so you can see it. But for you guys listening on iTunes or a podcast, we'll just go over the card and I'll talk about it. So the first card, Maz Kanata, she is the Pirate Queen. She has 8 health, 8 for a single dice, or 11 for the elite version. And her dice sides are 1 ranged, 1 focus, 1 shield, and 1 resource. And her ability is, after you activate this character, you may resolve up to 2 of your dice. So, what do you boys think of Maz Kanata, the Pirate Queen?
She's got the best title so far. I'm a big fan of the Pirate Queen. She's got essentially a Django's ability that isn't fixed to her own character. She can resolve supports, she can resolve other characters' die. A tremendously strong ability, and I don't think we'll really see the true potential from it until we have the whole set and in future sets.
Yeah, I think she's really nice costed. She's the same price I think as Ballatique, so she's like the hero yellow Balatik, isn't she, in that sense? And I think we'll see her slot in nicely to some sort of 3 character decks.
Well, the only difference in the dice is that Bala's got +2 modified, where she has and a focus, and she's got the 2 focus. The same health, the same costing. So they are literally
so
almost
much,
same.
Identical. Yeah. So I mean, I think her ability is really strong. Like Danny touched on, I think again, especially in like 3 character decks where you've already rolled out your other characters, you just roll her out and resolve them, and you'll push to get the battlefield in a 3 character deck a bit better as well.
I think she is Poe's best friend, because the way I see with this deck is you've got those 2 focus. So you're going to go Elite Poe, Elite Maz, which is going to be, I mean, it's 20 health, which is, I guess that's respectable. So that side. But I think what the strength really comes in is those 2 focus sides. So if you roll both her dice, that's 4 focus sides out of 12. So that is a 1 in 3, 33% chance. The way I see you can be absolutely filthy with this deck is you can hit and run your Poe. So you activate your Poe, and then you get in a second action, because ambush. Second action, you roll in Maz. You got a 33% chance of hitting focus. So with that 33% chance, if I get 1 focus, I can go, cool. I get to resolve 2 of my dice. The first dice I resolve is this Maz focus. I resolve this Maz focus. I then select this Poe die, which is blank or whatever. I turn it to special. Maz, I can do 2 dice. The second dice I choose to resolve is this special dice. So although you miss out with obviously the Bros version, you've got the ATSTs, so you can drop 5 for a buck out of nowhere or 4 out of nowhere. You won't have that with her, but you will still have access to the Falcon, to Launch Bay, I believe. Black One.
And any new vehicles they obviously release.
And obviously equipment. Equipment isn't for Poe, it's just anything, but it's just his, obviously you get to pay it. So if you've got the 3 resources, you could get the 2 and get yourself a Falcon. So that's something that's you can run logistics in red. So maybe on the first turn you ended with an extra coin. You start with 3 coins this turn. First action, hit and run Poe. Second action, Maz, do my little wombo combo I just said, and there you go, turn 2, Millennium Falcon. So there's lots of just damage out of nowhere potential, just cheating out dice, and also just getting dice out there, getting dice resolved. Again, allows you to grab that battlefield nice and early, and keep in front of your opponent. So I think that's going to be a very strong combo. I saw on Facebook someone says they're looking forward to making the Where's My Boyfriend deck, the Maz and Chewie, because she loves that Wookiee.
She does love that Wookiee.
But I'm still not sold on mono character. Well, some mono decks I'm good on. I'm sold on, but I don't know about mono.
Well, we'll double the pool, won't we, in the next set? So I mean, you never know. It's only going to get stronger, isn't it, mono? Really?
Yeah.
But yeah.
So the next spoiler we have to talk about is Chewbacca, the loyal friend. So Chewie has got 12 health, which is very respectable. He is 12 for a single dice, 16 for elite. And his dice sides are 1 ranged, 2 ranged for a resource, 2 melee, 1 resource, and a special. And the special is you get to turn an opponent's die to a side showing damage, which is either ranged or melee, to deal that damage to a character. So it hasn't got to be the character of the dice you just changed. So, boys, tell me what you think about Chewbacca.
Well, I played against Elite Hand Chewbacca on Tabletop Simulator today. Chewbacca didn't really feel like he did a lot. He pits out consistent damage, he can gain you money. The only time he used a special against me was to reduce lightsaber down to a lower value, so I couldn't deal as much damage to him.
Oh, so from the 3 for 1 to a 2.
Down to a +2. There's 2 ways you're going to use it. You can use it in a control fashion, like I've just mentioned, or you're going to flip it to 3 damage to finish off a character before they have a chance to use it back.
Because essentially he has got 4 damage sides, really, which is pretty crazy on a 12 health character.
Yeah, definitely. He is obviously very tanky. Like, he's 1 health off Vader.
As me and Danny was saying before the show about the special, and it sort of being... I think it's quite a good threat to just have on the board. Almost like when people roll out Forcer and have that, but obviously it's not quite as good. That special threat in there, like people maybe won't want to claim or will want to try and resolve all their dice, as opposed to leaving one out after they claim the battlefield for you to just turn it to like if they say leave like a hands dice out that's on a blank or a disrupt. If they claim, you can just flip that to 3. I think a lot of people are not great, but I think it's better than some of the specials out there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I like the point costing. It's quite thematic. You can either go 1 dice Chewie with Elite Han, or you can go 1 dice Han Elite Chewie. That's quite cool. Yeah. But I see him paired along with Rey. That's why I see this. I think it'd be good to see Elite Chewie, Elite Rey, 16 points and 12 points. That gives you access to both colours. And also, Chewy's got that melee side that doesn't require a resource. So again, I wouldn't put many guns in. I think I'd again probably focus on the melee, similarly to how you maybe do Kylo, Django. Stick some staffs on them. Stick a lightsaber on him. You know, he could do damage if he just rolls the guns. I'll just play 1 for 2. And I think where you can go mad balls crazy with his special is if you, let's say, we roll out the specials and we've got a Force Throw special and Chewie special. How crazy did it go? Cool. I'm resolving specials. Darth Vader. I'm going to change that dice to 3. Hit you for 3. Now I'm going to Force Throw that 3 in your face. So you take 6. So I think with the blue, with the Force Throw, resolving specials as 1, I think that's where you're going to get a lot of mileage out of the dice. Is that where you can do damage and then not have to worry about receiving damage. That does obviously require one of those specials sitting there, not being modified, you then rolling a second special, and then they're not doing anything about it. But I guess weighing it around is you roll Chewie first, because I don't think the Chewie special, is a special that's going to be targeted down. Other characters and other dice have specials, and you look at that and you think, I need to get rid of that. Kylo, you look at Kylo's special, and you're like, I've got a load of 1s and 0s. Yeah, he can resolve that special.
Yeah.
But Sith holocrons, Force throws, mind probes, lightsabers, those sort of specials are scary as, and they get taken off the board. Chewie special, I think the person on the other side of the board is going to be like, yeah, Chewie special, yeah, I'm pretty healthy. Okay, I've got 6 health. Yeah, he can hit me for 3. I'll be happy with that. But then you can obviously attach something to Rey, get yourself a second action, roll it out. I don't know, let's say you even put Hold Up Blaster in here for the ambush, or there's another ambush yellow, or there's another ambush blue card or something. So we can do crazy shenanigans where we can get Rey out and we can resolve Rey at the same time. So I think that's the way. It's going to be. It might be quite situational, and it's going to be hard to get off. But there's 2 special sides on a Force throw, and there's no blanket special removal, is there? There's just spot removal specials.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet. So that's potential. I'm waffling on like a good one, but I think that's the combo. I think Chewbacca Raid. I think that'd be pretty good. Anyway, so the next card is also got a big picture of a Wookiee, and I kind of wish this was Chewbacca's artwork. Bowcaster is. So it is a 4 resource upgrade weapon. And its damage sides are 2 range damage, 4 range damage for a resource, plus 3 range damage, 2 disrupt, and a special. The special is you get to deal 1 unblockable damage to up to 2 different characters. But the good and the kicker about this weapon, it has redeploy. So,
yeah.
Thoughts on Bowcaster?
So, Bowcaster is awesome. It's expensive. Like, if you think about other 4-cost upgrades at the moment, there's one with the Force, Mind Probe. And most of the time, Mind Probe gets cheated out of Holocron, and then one with the Force, you always have to overlay. So this is definitely going to be I've got a Holdout Blaster, now it's a Bowcaster. But I feel the weakest side of the die is the special. 1 unblockable damage to up to 2 characters, when you could be dealing 4 damage or plus 3 damage, or even disrupting resources. I'm not a big fan of the special. I feel most of the time I'm probably re-rolling that, unless I need 1 unblockable damage for some reason. But overall, I think the card's great. I think it will see a lot of play.
No, I agree. Yeah, nothing else to say. I'm a villain player, so I'm disinterested by it. Get me some villain cards. These heroes are boring me now.
So the next card we're going to be talking about is Maz's Castle, and I'm just trying to find the picture of it.
I've got it in front of me. It says, claim, draw 2 cards, place any number of cards from your hand to the bottom of your deck in any order. I feel this is the most benign battlefield. I think it's going to be the new Mos Eisley spaceport.
I think it's good. I quite like it. I mean, you claim, you draw 2 cards. Basically, you can pitch the cards that you don't need, that aren't very useful to you at that moment in time, milling through your own deck. I'm not saying it's like, you want to get the claim all the time or whatever. Like you say, it will be the new Mos Eisley for those 3 or 4 character, setups. But I think, decks like Blue Villain, when you really need a Holocron, or if you've got a Holocron and you're not drawing Force powers for whatever reason, like you really need that Mind Probe or whatever, you just draw 2 cards, fling, whatever you had left, or those 2 cards back into the bottom of your deck, and then you can just draw up and hopefully get what you need. I think it's pretty good.
That's my thought exactly. It's basically, if anyone plays Magic the Gathering, it's scry. You get to go through your cards for your deck. It's also good because you're not having to discard cards to rifle through your deck. And that round with an empty hand, You can claim, you can draw 2. Yeah, these cards, I don't need these cards right now, but I might want these cards later. Yeah. So you can pop them straight to the bottom of the deck and then draw 5 more. So you've gone through 7 cards of your deck without losing any, obviously other than the 5 you've now drawn. I think it's really good. And like you say, it's definitely going to be the new Mos Eisley because some battlefields are really quintessential to a lot of decks. Hyperloop really needs the Emperor's Throne Room. The mill decks, you really use Command Centers. And yeah, so certain decks really live and die by their battlefield. And Mos Eisley is just that one where you don't really care. And I think this one is going to be one that you don't necessarily really care about, but it helps you. But also, it does help your opponent as well. But if you're playing against a villain, the Mos Eisley kind of hurts you sometimes because they can bounce those holocrons for free. Or if they've got a character that's about to die, they can get that holocron back. Or Kylo's Saber back because it has no redeploy. Or Force Power back. Or loads of things back. But yeah, I think it's definitely good. It's a solid battlefield. One thing I'm really looking forward to, because I've never really actually noticed this, battlefields say neutral on them. Currently, all battlefields are grey. I'm really looking forward to faction-specific battlefields. Right, on to the next card, as we have a few more to go through, is Planned Explosion. Planned Explosion is a yellow hero event that costs 0 resources, and it reads, play only if you have dice showing a combined value of 10 or more. You get to remove all of your dice and deal 10 damage to a character.
Yes.
This card is bananas crazy, so it's good job it's yellow. Thoughts, boys, on Planned Explosion?
So you're playing the bros of Chewie and Han. Han has 2 3-sides, Chewie's got a 2-side, and a lot of like the yellow upgrades, so like the heavy blaster pistol, bowcaster, all have these really high numbered sides. I feel at the end of the game, to roll 10 value on your dice isn't a lot to ask.
So James, what do you think of Planned Explosion?
I think for people watching on YouTube, they'll understand, but cool guys don't look back at explosions, do they? They walk away. It's a very reminds me of watching Power Rangers as a kid. Pose to the camera as things blow up behind them. I'm upset again. It's hero only. I would love to have run this in my E Dooku E Jabba deck because they've got quite a few double sides on. I could potentially get 8 just off them alone, especially with the focuses and stuff. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed to learn it's hero only because I thought that'd be brutal in my in that deck. Really good card, basically. As I'm just salty to hero only.
There's the artwork is hilarious. I love the Sullust, and I love the fact there's a little Sullust with a little turtleneck, a little satchel.
I didn't notice the turtleneck.
It's got a turtleneck and satchel.
Tactical turtleneck.
It does look like they're just walking away from the cinema, though. Like there's an Imperial officer and a Sullust just walking away from the cinema, and there's an explosion going on. Very nonchalant. I think if I was an insurgent, like I was a part of the Rebel Alliance, and I just caused a massive explosion, I think I'd be pretending I was shocked. Because when the stormtroopers come and they're looking who's blowing everything up, and there's these 2 guys like, don't mind us, and everyone else is freaking out, I think you can work out who dropped the bomb.
I think the turtleneck alone gives that away, doesn't it?
Turtleneck guy, beautiful turtleneck and man bag. So my thoughts on the card are let's run some numbers. So you've got if you've got 2 characters that are both elite and they've got 1 upgrade each, that's 6 dice. That's maths. And you're going to need a lot of 2s. I know a lot of the new stuff does come with 3s and 4s, but I still think it's going to be hard to pull off. 1 elite character is 5 dice. That's an average. You need an average of 2. If one of those rolls a 1, the other one's got to pick up the slack and roll 3. If one of those, rolls blank, you've really got to pick up the slack. So I think it's going to be hard. I think it's especially hard to fit into a deck now that there's going to be over 300 cards. There's going to be over 300 cards in the set with the 2 sets combined. Obviously, not all those cards are going to be yellow hero cards. But I think it's going to be a hard card to fit. It's definitely a meta card. If Palpatine becomes huge, I can see it being put in yellow hero.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just to smack Palpatine in the face. But then the thing is, Palpatine has got a blue villain has a lot of good removal because it punishes you if you hit any blanks. You feel the anger and it really punishes you. But yeah, I think it's going to be a hard card to fit in. But I like the fact it's 10. If it's anything less than 10, it would be just stupid.
Yeah.
The turn that happens against you, all you can do is really laugh, really, because you got 10. But then I think when you're playing against Yellow Hero, you always think, oh my god, he's got 10 resources showing.
Yeah. I
need to remove these resources just in case he does Planned Explosion. But then again, there's a lot of characters and a lot of things that are going for more consistent high numbers. But I think it's going to be.
You're saying about removing resources?
Well, yeah. So, I like what you're coming from here. So we'll move on to, with that segue, let's move on to diversion. It's a yellow neutral event, costs 1 resource, and it reads: force an opponent to lose 1 resource or 3 resources instead if there is another copy of this event in your discard pile. And Gungan's confirmed.
I like there's another card, isn't there, with the same sort of conditions where you get bonuses if there's already one in your discard pile. So from just seeing 2 of those already, I think we're going to see a lot more of them in all colours and variants. I think it's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't a way to remove resources other than disrupt at the moment. This is the first time they've ever gone, here's a card, you now get to remove resources from your opponent. Obviously at the start when you're paying 1 to remove 1, unless you're really flush with cash, you're probably not going to do that, and you're just going to use the first one as discard fodder. But when that second one comes up and you claim, the round starts and you just go diversion for 1 and make them lose their resources. If you do that turn 2, turn 3, that could really hamper their mid-game plans.
Yeah, it's good that there's disrupting, because with a lot of sides that require resources, I mean, especially like Force Lightning and Palpatine, definitely need those resources, and Stormtroopers like to roll 2 for 1. Well, mine like to just roll 2, but it's quite good. But I think it falls into the same trap. There's going to be so many cards to try and squeeze into a 30-card deck. Do you really want to essentially be running a 29-card deck? Because the first one, you're never playing it. You're always discarding it. So it's like you are playing a 29-card deck. So I can't see this card being played at all. That's what I'll say about it. I can't see diversion being played at all. If your opponent has got resources and they're showing dice with fire resources, if you roll disrupt, you go for the disrupt. But 9 times out of 10, when you roll disrupt, you re-roll it for damage. So again, I'm not sold on it.
See, what you were just saying there about how you're always re-rolling disrupt into damage is that I think that's the state of the game at the moment, which requires you to do that because decks are so quick. Hopefully, the game will slow down a bit, and it will naturally slow down a bit because we'll be using unrefined decks again. And I'm not saying, every yellow deck in the world is going to run 2 copies of Diversion, but I feel when the meta calls for it, you'll see it played.
So the next card that also follows this mechanic is Long Con, which is a hero yellow event, which is 0 resources, and you get to gain 3 resources if there's another copy of this event in your discard pile. So the first one just does nothing. Just does nothing.
So we know your opinion on this one.
No. I have different opinions of this card compared to the version. Yeah. So this card, its best friend is a little card called Second Chance. They're best mates, these 2 cards. They're best mates for a couple of reasons. Reason number 1, I play Scavenge because I really want to get a second chance. Or I play 2 Scavenge in my deck. I really want something. And I scavenge a Long Con. That's my first Long Con. Awesome. Later on down the game, I've now got my Second Chance in my hand. I can just drop a Long Con, get 3 resources, and hard play Second Chance without the need of getting rid of any of my upgrades. That's what a lot of people do. They a lot of the time, you only get 2 resources a turn. You may be spent out the previous turn because you want to resolve dice, because Han's got dice that require you to spend resources. Bowcaster now has dice that require you to spend resources. Chewie has dice that have you to spend resources. And then you have, obviously, you either scavenge or you use Jakku to get that Second Chance back into your hand. With Long Con, as long as you're not going to die on the turn they roll, you've got the chance to get yourself the 3 resources, hard play your Second Chance without the need of getting rid of any of your upgrades, without having to replace them, and you still got your 2 coins from the turn to resolve your dice or play any mitigation. So I think Long Con is good.
I look at this in the same light as the version. Like it's going to be really good the second time you play and you game 3 resources. You're going to be use those for fantastic things. However, I think Long Con's twin, like there's peanut butter and jelly, is smuggling. Smuggling, which is discard a card along with this card to gain a resource.
Oh yeah,
you can smuggle your first Long Con, and then you can play your second Long Con, and then your Long Cons are actually getting you 4 resources, which for no cost. It's really good.
I just had a thought as well. Millennium Falcon. I'm now going to have to load this up, right?
Yeah.
So the Falcon allows you to play. Let's read what it says. Millennium Falcon says, play a yellow event from your discard pile or hand for free. Does that mean if I've got a long con in my discard pile, just one copy in my discard pile, and I roll Millennium Falcon, can I then trigger long con off the one that's in my discard pile? Because I don't remove it from my discard pile, do I?
Well, it says play it from. I don't know.
I'm playing it from the discard, so I'm not having to move it from discard to play. I'm just playing it in the discard.
But the wording is another copy of this event, so that would be the copy.
Yeah.
I'd say that a different copy.
You could still Millennium Falcon a long con later on
Yeah.
to gain.
Yeah, you could keep keep using it. Yeah, definitely. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah,
I love the fluff. That's great.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so you need to have so you can't Falcon if you've only got one. Cool. Yeah, so it's still a good card. I think I can see this fitting definitely into yellow hero or yellow spliced another color hero, because it's always good to have resources. And again, we keep talking Bowcaster. It costs you 4. You get 2 at the start of the turn. Let's get another 3. Let's have 5. Let's play a hard player Bowcaster and still have that one spare I need just in case I roll that big 4 for 1.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a very, very good card. And a card that's going to see play. So on to the next card, which is absolutely hilarious. So Fair Air Quotes Trade is a 0 cost yellow neutral event. It reads, resolve one of your dice showing a resource, then you switch all of your resources with all of an opponent's resources. I love that future-proofing if you're playing multiple, a three-headed game, and opponent's resources. What do you guys think of Fair Trade, other than it being hilarious?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I think the quote marks as well is I'm definitely going to be doing the finger quotes as I play it and smiling gleefully. It's neutral, so yeah, I would probably run this in Jabba if I make a Crime Lord focus deck. Just, I'm going to be trying to gain resources anyway, but sometimes you've just got to spend them, especially when I run Dooku with that 2 discard for a resource side and stuff. I mean, yeah, you put Crime Lord down for 4, you've got no resources, you resolve a dice showing a resource, and then you just switch, and then you're potentially there or halfway there to a Crime Lord in the next turn. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's definitely only ever going to be a one-off card, though. I don't think you'd ever run 2 in a deck.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like a yellow logistics, but very odd logistics. But I don't actually see a Crime Lord player using it, because the Crime Lord player hoards the resources. They want the resources.
The good ones do. I don't.
The other players spend money. So very rarely go into a round with 2 resources into the next round, unless I really had nothing to play.
Yeah.
So no mitigation that costs any money, no support, no events, nothing. I very rarely take 2 into the next round. So I don't think the Crime Lord player is going to play that, but I think the player trying to counter the Crime Lord player is going to play it. Yeah. So it's one of those cards where I think it falls into that trap. There's going to be so many more cards to play. It's a hard card to fit a one-off in, because worst case scenario, you play it. Well, you have to roll out, don't you? So you're never going to play as the first card. You're going to have to definitely resolve something, roll out, then get the resource. Hope your opponent doesn't spend any money. Yeah. Then give them 1 and take their 2. So it's a really cool idea. I love the idea of the card. No, I don't see it being played.
I'm glad the card exists, because there's going to be a moment where I'm like, I need Fair Trade in this deck, and it's going to be there for me, but I'll never go in going, right, the first card in my deck is going to be Fair Trade, because it's such a cornerstone.
Final card we're looking at is going to be another hero upgrade ability called Lone Operative. It costs 3 resources, and its dice sides are 2 melee, 2 discard, 1 resource, and it has 2 special sides and a blank. So the special reads, heal 2 damage from attached character, or 3 damage instead if attached character is your only character in play. So what do you guys think of the Lone Operative?
So in the game earlier, where I was playing against Elite Han Single Chewie, he played Lone Operative on Han Solo, and it was frustrating. Obviously, Han gains a shield for every time he plays an ambush card, which in mono yellow hero, you're going to have a lot of ambush cards. So he was constantly gaining shield after shield after shield, and I was pinging them off. He then plays Lone Operative, and every time I would ever get through to deal base damage to him, he would roll the special and he would heal it up. I ended up losing the game. I was playing Qui-Gon Rey, and Han finished on 2 damage dealt to him, and no damage on Chewie because I was focusing Han. It was disgusting. He probably healed about 6 or 8 health with Lone Operative.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing card. I think it's really, really good. I think this is a card. I think that I can see it in a couple of decks. I think Jyn Erso, obviously, she's depicted on it. It's going to be good for her. She doesn't benefit from the melee, okay, but with that discard, she's got 1 discard and 2 discard, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
That's so that's going to be really, really good for her. And then the healing. The only thing is with that deck, I've been playing Jyn Erso with Akbar. They always go after Jyn first, so it's good to get this down and a lot of healing. I think, again, I've mentioned that I think the deck that's really going to shine in is Elite Chewie, Elite Ray, because it's got the melee side. It's got a melee side that doesn't require a resource. Ray loves to roll those +2 melees. It's not yellow character only, so you can stick it on her and also get to use her ability of getting another action. Healing damage is great. I think it's going to be really, really strong. I can see this in nearly every yellow hero deck, especially ones that are paired up with red, because you have so much healing. Because you've got obviously access with red. You've got dug-ins, field medics, and now this, and then combo that with second chance. How are you ever going to kill anyone? It's crazy. How are you ever going to kill a yellow character with that suite of cards? I think it's great. I think it's definitely a good call they went with the melee damage and not the ranged. If they went for the range damage, this card would be OP. So we've kind of skipped on James. What do you think, James?
I don't give a damn. No.
If you see your opponent play this card, if your opponent plays this card, what do you think?
It upsets me. It upsets me. To further what you said as well, doesn't Ray have a discard as well anyway? So it sort of is even better with her in the sense that you could potentially do 3 or 4 discard if she rolls that like that anyway in the same turn, which is nice.
She does, and then obviously like in the Chewie Ray, there's gonna be a lot of sides with specials on there. So there's gonna be a lot.
Exactly. Specials. Yeah, I think it's a really good card. One of my most hated cards, which gives me even more rage than backup muscle, I think a lot of the time, is Second Chance. I think it's undercosted. I hate it, and I think this with Second Chance will ruin my life as a villain player. So yeah, it's a great card, and I hate it.
Well, I guess that's all the cards from the set. So I can't wait for more spoilers. I mean, it's up for recording. We're on the 20th of March, so we're apparently supposed to have all the spoilers by the 1st of April. So yeah, more to come. So far, looking like a fantastic set. And now we have Leighton's TTS League experience segment. Doo-doo-doo. Right, that was awful, but anyway, so TTS League has not been going to plan so far. So I've played 2 games in my bracket. My first game was against the 7 Gaming Network. You should check him out on YouTube. He's got some really good stuff. And he spanked me. He spanked me hard. I was playing Django Trooper. He was playing Vader Raider. I had a great first hand. I can't remember what was in it because I wiped that game from my brain. But I decided to try and stream it, and it was a bit late at night, and I was not very talkative because it's quite hard to stream and talk when you're playing an important game. But I remember he got 2 backup muscles on turn 1, and that's really hard for Django to deal with because that's over half his health. So really, his Vader just got hit me once hard, and over a period of 3 turns, my Django's going to die. I don't even think Django lasted 3 turns. It was an absolute spanking, and the Stormtroopers just couldn't do anything. So as a loss, in my second game, I played against another YouTuber.
No brainer.
And I went with Vader Raider because I've been playing a lot leading up to that with games preparing for the tournament. And he is using Elite Jabba, Elite Dooku. This game also features on his YouTube, so you can watch it. For some reason, it sounds like I'm talking to him via a baked bean can linked to a string. I don't know why my mic was terrible, and he was lagging really, really badly. But on my side, he wasn't. Just until I watched the game, I saw the lag. But he's a great player, a really, really nice guy. And it was a very, very good game. I achieved the dream. I managed to get the Mind Probe on the Tusken Raider really quickly. And of course, okay, we'll talk about it. I done goofed. Turn 1, I stuck the holocron on him, roll him out, get special. Sweet. I'm going to discard a card to resolve the special. I'm going to put a Mind Probe on him. I'm going to pay the coin. I'm going to roll out the Mind Probe. And I rolled the special. This is where I done goofed. And he accepted it, so he also done goofed as well. I then obviously resolved the Mind Probe, which you can't do because the Tusken Raider says resolve a die. And the die I resolved was the holocron special. So kind of felt bad after rewatching the video and seeing the comments of people going, man, this guy cheated. Kind of makes you feel bad when you do a silly mistake. It goes out to the world of the internet, because the internet is a cruel place. But on turn 2, anyway, the dream was achieved legit. I rolled out the Tusken Raider, rolled the special on the Mind Probe, discard a card, 5 damage to his Jabba. So it was going pretty well. Jabba was dead. My Tusken was dead. He actually did damage to kill my Tusken, but I had Darth Vader with like 3 damage on him. So I was in a pretty good place. Dooku had 1 health. I claim, because I've got a backup muscle with 1 damage left. So I'm sitting there thinking, I've got this, boys. Finally got the win. First action, next time I'm going to kill him. What is he going to do? He ace in the holes, a crime lord, rolls the special, kills my Vader. So, that was very painful that he did that. In retrospect, I did notice that he didn't pay the 1 resource for his data pad. So he should have had 4 resources. But to be fair, balance of the force is well and truly resolved, because I did something not allowed to do first term. He made an honest mistake. So these things happen, Yeah. We make mistakes sometimes. I mean, James is a hero at playing an upgrade and forgetting to roll the dice. And in fact, Danny did it against me today when we were playing. He decided to put an upgrade on one of his characters.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, on Tabletop Simulator, I normally make more mistakes like that. And in person, I generally don't. But I think in the 2 games I played with James after I played you, I also didn't roll in dice for upgrades I have played. This is what happens when I make a deck on the spur. I don't have it all in my little bag ready.
So that's the thing. I mean, people do make mistakes. It's just a thing that happens. Neither mistake was malicious. It's just something that happened. But it's fine. I enjoyed the game. Didn't enjoy the fact that I lost. And that's it. So I'm 2 games in. I've lost 2 games. So it's going to be a real uphill struggle for me to qualify. I've really got to hope those guys lose and I can win every game. So we shall see. And that concludes Leighton's TTS League experience. So I know this has been quite a long episode, but we're going to try and squeeze this in at the end. So thanks for sticking with us to this section. So we're going to be talking about the top 8 decks for Season 1 of the Tabletop Simulator League. The decks can be found on swdestiny.com. Definitely check those guys out. It's a fantastic website for all things Star Wars Destiny. So we have got the top 8 decks. I'm not going to go for winner. We'll work our way up instead of working our way down. So we have in that top 8 the madness of 4 troopers. Yes. 4 troopers made it into top 8. Wow. Yeah.
I actually watched this game live on Twitch, and he was against Django Double Trooper. From what I saw, it just didn't really go his way. Django just did Django things and was just popping them off.
See, I'm really surprised there's no sisters in there, because I've been prattling around with Trooper Sister Bala, and I'm a pretty good win rate with it. So just to go mono villain red. Seems really bold, especially with only 1 copy of Endless Ranks as well. Seemed very bold. So interesting. I mean, when those troopers roll good, they roll good, but when they roll bad, they roll bad. So interesting. James, any thoughts on the 4 troopers?
Yeah, I thought it was surprising. Like you said, why would you do 4 troopers when you can do 3 troopers, a Night Sister, or put Bala in there, or do a bit of both like you've been doing, Leighton?
He's obviously a very skilled player to get that far with the deck, because the one after the league, when the guys went into the knockout, which I think was either 24 or 36, I can't remember which.
24.
But they were stuck. They had to pick a deck, and they were stuck with the deck throughout. It's pretty mad. Next is Elite Leia, Elite Akbar, which I definitely think is the villain gun meta killer deck. So I'm not entirely surprised at all to see that top 8.
No, me neither. Really solid. It's a trap.
Yeah. When those guys had to lock in the decks, it was really guns. Django, Django. So it was definitely a really good call. As what we've seen from local tournaments, and I also think from what I've played in games on TTS, that isn't as Django, and guns is not as prevalent anymore. But definitely that was a really good call at the time.
It'll be interesting to see when Spirit of Rebellion drops, just if things are going towards Belly and we see less of it's a trap and all the rest of it, or if we'll be, back to more guns and it'll be guns again. It's just interesting, to start with the game and, see how it grows and evolves and adapts and goes through all these different sort of peaks and troughs, isn't it? And seeing the answers that come up and then fade away. So I'm sort of more interested in looking at it going forward and seeing if it still has a place.
So he had a very interesting choice of the comlink, which does make sense to me because it's got 2 focus sides. If you're going to be going for those all-in plays, the common link definitely helps you out of that. And obviously it has the forced reroll. Sorry, it's a may reroll, isn't it? After you play as a grade, you may reroll any number of your dice or an opponent's dice. So the common link's definitely a solid choice. I think when I made the deck in real life, I didn't have any common links, and all I have now is one Polish common link. So that's probably why I didn't put them in. But it's a good choice of a card. So that was good to see. Next, we've got the Elite Kylo Elite Dooku, which was Tiny Grimes, and not really much really to say about that deck, I don't think, because Tiny has done lots and lots of videos about this deck. It's a very, very solid deck. I definitely agree it is a tier 1 deck.
Yeah. You have you've skipped old JB Flans.
Well, I was kind of card these guys with the same brush because, again, I think Trooper Elite Ballad Django is another deck which has had enough people talking about it. I looked at the list. There was nothing that kind of like smashed me in the face. It was like, why the hell is that card in the list?
The most outrageous thing in it is the one flamethrower, but it totally makes sense why it's in there.
So it's big damage. I know.
Nice. So you can fight dirty with.
Yeah, definitely fight dirty, and it's a solid upgrade. So those guys, they're quite well known. They had their own outlets. Definitely check them out. They're very nice guys. Actually, I played Tiny on TTS the other week. It was really good, really fun to play against him and chat to him.
Did you lose?
I did, yes, I lost.
That's good to know.
I was playing my Elite Finn, Elite Akbar deck that I'm having a lot of fun with at the moment. I'm definitely going to play that in my next tournament because I'm really enjoying playing that. And he was playing Qui-Gon Rey, which is, again, one of my favourite decks. So it was cool. It wasn't a spanking, which is always good. But yeah, so those decks seem pretty good. And then the next deck is the Qui-Gon Rey. I see he's got the data pads in there. That's a change that I've made to mine recently. But he only has the one all-in. I'm still on 2 all-ins. And only one with the Force, which I thought was very bold because I know it's a hard card to play, but it's a card you really want to play before a character dies, so you get the benefit from it. So I think it's a card you want to see, so therefore you play the 2 of. In that game in the Wayland tournament where I had both my one with the Forces out on a character that was still very much alive because I got both my binds or things out. No blanks. What can you say? So not at all surprised to see that deck there.
I've been playing it over the weekend and a few games today as well. I agree with you. One with the Force is really good card. I want to have 2 of them in play if possible. I definitely want to have one in play as a character dies. And I feel with only having one in the deck, the odds of drawing it and then playing it in time significantly reduced. But I feel the rest of the deck is pretty standard.
So the Django Trooper. So I looked at his list again, and he had endless ranks. And I'm just thinking, how could he ever afford endless ranks? Because he had no logistics in the deck. He also had nowhere to run. So I think that deck is really money tight because you want to be putting upgrades on Django, and any leftover, you want to be using that money to keep Django alive. So I don't know how he ever afforded to play in endless ranks. So it almost feels like you're playing a 29 card deck. And the Nowhere to Run is a card that I did run before because it's hilarious. You pay 2, you turn all your blanks to a side. If for some madness you've got 3 resources and you've got all your dice out and all the guns out, you can Tactical Mastery for action number 1, action number 2, pay Nowhere to Run, and change them all. That is the dream. I achieved that dream once, and that was a dream. It was a dream that turned into someone's nightmare. But not entirely surprised to see the Django Trooper because it's one of those decks. When it's hot, it's hot. Yeah. It's crazy good. Nothing much more. I'm not going to let you guys say much more because we've already waffled on too long. So we'll get to the last 2. So it's the Sleeper deck. It's Danny's Sleeper. It's the Elite.
It is. And now it's out for the world to see. Looking at it, the only difference between mine and his is that he runs 1 all-in and a dodge, where I run 2 all-ins. And I did used to run an Endless Ranks, but you rarely got to play it, and it just felt like a 29 card deck.
Well, you get a lot more money because you run logistics, and I think you've played Endless Ranks twice against me, and it did make me cry.
Yeah, Endless Rank is really good when you pull it off, but you can pull it off very rarely.
I just think there's some decks where you have more chance of pulling it off, and if you run logistics, then you're definitely increasing your chance of pulling off.
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely been the sleeper deck, and I think with this, it's only gonna bring it more to the public's eye, and we're gonna see it a lot more on TTS.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different viable sort of variations you can do on it, isn't there? Really, and it's still fairly strong as long as you stick with 2 die Phasma and 1 die Balatik and one die Stormtrooper. But the actual deck itself, there's a lot of different things that I think you've been experimenting for quite a while, haven't you? And they all seem fairly strong.
It's because Phasma's die is so consistent. it really opens the deck up to kind of anything. I've seen a couple of people run 2-die Bala, and I just think it's wrong.
Yeah.
In a
definitely.
word. Bala's die is nowhere near as good as Phasma's. I don't know why you'd want to roll 2 of them, other than the fact when you kill someone, you get to roll that additional die, but I don't think it's worth it.
And Balor is public enemy number 1 in that deck. Your damage is focused on him, but the great thing about the deck is the Guardian on the Stormtrooper. Like, I like really recently that when you've been taking, like when I've been taking my battlefield, or you've been picking my battlefield, you've been putting the 2 shields, instead of putting those 2 shields on Balor, you've been putting those 2 shields on the Stormtrooper. And that makes a lot of difference.
Because that really has. It's something that I started playing with more recently, and it's giving the Stormtrooper like extra long legs to stand on, basically.
It means you can take, literally, if you roll out a Darth Vader 3, normally you're like, 3, that's like almost half my Stormtrooper's life. When you got 2 shields, I'm like, yeah, I'll take 3.
1 damage.
Yeah, 1 damage, exactly. It's really good. And obviously with dug-ins, it's that's the strength. The strength is keeping the Balor alive. And then, because that's the thing, what basically happens in that matchup when you play against that deck, you try and kill Balor first, but you can't because they take all the damage with Stormtrooper. Or like what you did, you'll just take away my damage.
Yeah.
And then by the time the Stormtrooper's dead, Balor's got lots of guns on him. Phasma's doing good damage. And then by the time you kill Balor, all those guns now go over to Phasma. And you've probably got 1 character with half health left, and Phasma's probably taken nothing. Yeah. So it's really solid, and I really enjoyed beating it.
I am looking at maybe pitting in 2 of the best defense, so I can start best defensing Phasma for additional damage, because so rarely is she targeted. Being able to deal 3 damage to her to remove 2 dice, I think is going to be really strong.
I distinctly remember you had that in there when you first had the deck. I do definitely remember you doing it.
Yeah, I did have it at the start, and I removed it for other things, and I kind of missed the removal. Like, when, as I say, in all of our practice games, I really felt like I was lacking removal for Vader's damage. Well, obviously, when it came to the tournament, I managed to draw them all exactly when I needed to, but I feel having the additional removal for the deck is going to be really strong.
And lastly, the deck that took the whole thing was Han Ray, and it had one hell of a weird card in there, Street Informants. So that really surprised me, the Street Informants. I get, it's got the ambush, it's 2 shields. I also get that having information from your opponent's hand is great, because that obviously allows you to know, okay, they haven't got a dodge. I'm going to be really slow and make sure I hit you for lots of damage. But yeah, it seemed like a pretty solid list. That concludes the second podcast. So again, apologies for it being very long. We had a lot to chat about, but if you stuck with us to the end, that's awesome. Thank you ever so much. We should also say big thank you to the people that have liked our Facebook page. So to keep those likes coming, it's really, really cool to see that people are wanting to engage with us. Got any questions or anything you want us to talk about? Just send us a message via Facebook or leave us a comment on YouTube.
Just finally, I'd like to give a shout out to the Knights of Ren. They're like a great podcast. You should definitely listen to them, and they've been helping us out sort of with some questions about getting set up and stuff. And they've taken the time out of their day to answer us and get back to us. And yeah, there's a bunch of great guys over there, so definitely check them out.
Well, anyway, thanks for sticking with us, and we will see you guys next time.